right, guys, here we go. Elephant in the room, talking Alabama and Arkansas. That game is an 11 a.m. kickoff, the kind of games that Jay Coker likes. He likes to get up and get right into action. 11 a.m., the Auburn time slot, but a tough game for the Crimson Tide. Before we get into this, make sure that you're part of our crew, and that is Elephant in the Room, our podcast, Roll Tide Pods. So many great things going on with Disrupt the Media, including our podcast, but there's a lot of other really great content podcasts that are out there that are all part of our family, and we appreciate everyone for hanging out with us. And don't forget, our show is brought to you by MyBookie. Use the code NEXTROUND, like my hat, next round. And at mybookie.ag, you get a discount and you can start making your picks. And that's what you want to talk about right off the bat. You said there's some good lines this week.
Saw some good ones. Saw some that I didn't feel comfortable with, which is what I like.
Yeah, that's it. The craziest thing, but I'd be 13-3, so I kind of get a feel that that's why, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look, hang on,
give me some, because I like to watch Lance's lock and Lance Taylor, see what he's picking.
Oh yeah,
because he's really good at it. Let's try to. That's like the measuring stick for me.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure he's got some great picks this week too.
Here we go. USC Notre Dame. Who do you think's favored and by how much?
Oh, I'm taking USC by 5.5.
Notre Dame's favored by 3.
Whoa.
That's one of Jake's locks right there.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking?
I'm thinking, why is USC not favored? I mean, that makes no sense.
Right. I mean, they had the close call against Arizona, but I mean, Notre Dame
should. That's the dumbest line of all time.
Yeah, right. They should have lost to Duke. They almost beat Ohio State, which would have been a good one, but they didn't. And then they just lost. Well, maybe because they just lost to Louisville.
Yeah, lost to Louisville. I mean, again, they haven't looked like a dominant team that's going to make it to the playoff.
Right.
I mean, not to me. USC, it's the media darling. The public's going to be all over them.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to get beat by 10 points this weekend.
Yeah, well, that would be fine for us. Go ahead and get them right on out of there. Move them out of the way, right?
That's right. I mean, USC, they're undefeated, but they beat some. They're not very good on defense. Got the best quarterback in the country, but to me, not a solid team by any means. Solid enough to be in the top 25, but they're not an elite team, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. What's another? You said there was more than one.
Miami, UNC. Okay. What do you think the line would be on that game?
Yeah, let me give you mine. Let's see here. So we know that Miami. Can I say shit the bed? Is that a fair assessment?
I don't.
Have you heard that saying before?
Yeah, you could have gone a lot further.
Have you heard that before? I remember my wife one time I said that, and she was like, "I mean, think about that literally." Well, I don't even know where it came from, but they shit the bed against
one of Johnny Depp's girlfriends.
Yeah. I just saw a story where Aquaman was trying to get her kicked off the show. So they had it won and they gave it away. Miami's going to be really motivated. They're going to be hungry. They're going to want to win this game. I'm sure everyone at practice was probably really locked in.
Yeah.
UNC's a good team. What's the guy's name? Chiswick? That's the guy you like a lot, right?
I like Chiswick.
Yeah, nah, he's cool. I'm just kidding. No, I mean I'm not, but you know what I mean. He's actually, I've heard great things.
You stirring me up over here?
Yeah. Just getting at you. Let's see. Miami 3.5.
Plus 3.5?
Minus 3.5.
Okay. Well, that scares me a little bit. I may be wrong on that one.
So what? Is that what it is?
UNC minus 3.5.
No, look at that. Look at that. A Vegas mix back there.
Yeah, so I honestly don't even know where to go from here.
Yeah, that ought to scare you. But I just told you why. I told you why you got to take.
Yeah,
UNC.
I get it. I get it.
You got to take UNC because I would say everything tells you Miami's winning this football game. So, all right.
I'm not sure how the public's going to think about that.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to think about that term "shit in the bed." We'll just throw it out there and see if it sticks.
Start off hot.
What a terrible! Like I tuned in for Alabama football talk, and the guy with the hat said "shitting in the bed" twice.
Time to cut these guys.
Yeah, out of here. What's Rogan doing?
All right, another one. A&M, Tennessee. What do you think the line is
Oh
there?
man, I love this one. A&M, they talked all that smack. I loved it too. Enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
When Anaya Smith said, those guys used to be nice. And actually, he's good, man. I mean, I got to give him credit. Like
good. He's good.
He made some plays.
Yeah.
He was so close to scoring that touchdown at the end too.
Yeah.
He's athletic, man. Electric stuff. Love him on the kick returns. So let's see. Texas A&M just lost to Alabama. It was that was kind of like a humiliating loss.
Yeah.
It was one of those losses where you came in, bowed up. You were talking like you were going to take care of business.
Gave him pretty much all you had.
You did, and the score really doesn't indicate the old school country ass whooping you got. So you're looking to prove yourself, and then there's Tennessee. Tennessee fans don't like this Tennessee team.
Yeah,
they're worried about this team. They can run the ball a little bit. They try to spread you out and pass, but
it's at Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah, it's at Tennessee. Joe Milton is this guy that has like the strongest arm.
Yeah.
Like he's like the guy in the gym all the time that's like just pumping iron, but he can't wipe his ass. Like he's just like bowed up so much he can't get back there.
That's when the jack dude shows up on the basketball court and thinks that's going to translate.
Yeah, right. Let's play shirts and skins, dude. So he wins like the best arm competition, but I don't know, man. I hope Tennessee wins.
Yeah,
because I think it's better for the matchup.
I want the Tennessee matchup to be as big as possible.
Yeah, so they're going to be favorite. They're going to be the favorite here. Man, let's see, 4.5. Tennessee.
Tennessee minus 3.5.
So I'm right there.
After this podcast, the only thing I feel good about is Notre Dame.
You don't like it when I'm right on. You don't know Vegas, Mick. That's because he's been hiding away. Now he's starting to get back.
I'm such a head case with these picks that what you're saying now may ruin me for the rest of the year. We'll see.
Well, yeah. Look, I had a terrible start, but I was also, broadcasting baseball every night. I didn't get to watch. Now I'm like, last night I got 3 games on.
Yeah.
Like a good degenerate, and I'm watching like Jacksonville State against Liberty, and I'm wondering like, why doesn't anyone like what's the guy's name, Chatworth or whatever, that coach at Liberty now, Chatwell. I
don't think anybody likes Liberty now. I mean,
but the guy wins. He wins everywhere. He was at Coastal Carolina and he won, and then he goes there and he's like, he's winning.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't pay attention to Liberty too much, so I don't even.
They're pretty good.
I know they were good when Freeze was there, but outside of that, I hadn't been following them too.
Well, it's this guy's first year, but I mean, it's most of Freeze's players. All right, let's talk Alabama and Arkansas. Good news is that Malachi Moore is like a game time decision.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to play or not, but at least we know that if he's a game time decision, that there's a chance he could play, but there's a really good chance he plays next week.
Well, I'm glad it's not a 2, 3, 4 week deal. No surgeries, just soft tissue stuff. And if there was going to be a game that over the next few weeks he was going to miss, I'm glad it's this one.
Yeah, me too. Not to take anything away from Arkansas. I mean, I know it's a 16-game winning streak, but I don't feel like that.
There doesn't seem to be, Arkansas is always tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always a physical team. They're, it's funny. You talk to coaches, and I did when I was at Alabama. The consistency of talent and physicality in the SEC is far greater than any other conference. Like the base player in the SEC is better than anywhere else in the country. So,
yeah,
you got to be ready to play each week. And Arkansas puts together the perfect game. they hit a few big shots. I don't think they've got. I mean, I think their O-line's pretty decent. Receivers, I don't think they've got anybody that's going to outrun any of our corners. It doesn't seem like they have many explosive receivers on offense. But again, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us, double moves, and they're going to find a couple big plays in there, I would imagine. But for the most part, if we can just keep them from hitting that big play, which is not what they've been accustomed to this year from what I've seen, it'll be all right. Because I mean, on defense, I don't think they mix it up a whole lot. I think what you see is what you get for the most part. Jalen, as long as he can move around and make some plays, we're going to be all right,
Did you play there or in Tuscaloosa?
In Tuscaloosa. And it was actually kind of a close game until the end. And dude, let me tell you, I have never been that sore after a game.
Really?
Before until we played Arkansas. It was just a mean, physical team, from the top down. Even Brett Bielema got a few shots in.
The big dude. He's still coaching.
Oh yeah, I threw a ball to Ardarius Stewart. It was like, I'm not Ardarius, Kenyon, and it was like one of the first plays of the game. And I throw it to Kenyon, and I see him go out of bounds, and out of nowhere, I see Bielema come up and just check him, and I was like, "Did anybody see that?" Like,
yeah.
What? Am I? I was like, "Am I seeing things?" I almost didn't even believe what I saw. And then later on in the game, Cam Robinson's arguing with the referee, and Bielema runs up and acts like Cam hits him and knocks him down.
No, I remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh wow, this guy is full of shit."
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Yeah, he's gonna do anything he could to win.
Yeah.
But, that team, they just scrap. They'll do whatever it takes to win. And I think, the culture there is they know they're not on par with Alabama, but they're going to beat you up as much as they can and try to, grind out a win. And that's what Arkansas does. And man, I tell you what, when you wake up on Sunday, you've played Arkansas.
Yeah. And I think that kind of is what worries me about this matchup too. I mean, you got one more before the off week. You got to be focused on Tennessee too. I mean, if you're a human, you got beat by one of your biggest rivals last year for the first time in forever. And, and they absolutely rubbed it in. I saw the Christmas ornaments that they have on their trees and all the, the paintings in their houses and everything. I mean, it's like a big deal. And this game kind of falls in between the Jimbo game and that. And it's like, you got to be careful with these guys.
Oh, it's nerve-wracking for sure. And it's hard to, look, each SEC game win is a big win. But like you said, A&M's kind of become, they're not a rival yet, but they've become a formidable opponent each year. And obviously this year, that was probably pretty close to a game day pick if it weren't for the Red River rivalry. But to play Arkansas in between those two, usually you got one of those buffer, Eastern Kentucky games in here. But again, Arkansas, they've got the athletes to beat us if we don't show up, and we allow a few big plays. You let a Razorback believe, that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah. Do you think that the reason why they have such a tough time, like competing in the, like in the blue chip market, is the actual place of Arkansas? Is it the name? Like if you're not from the South, would you want to play for the Hogs? I don't know. I've tried to figure out like why is it that they're just not able to go out and get like the same talent as Alabama and Auburn and Tennessee and LSU,
It's, it's crazy. The people from Arkansas
love it.
Absolutely love Arkansas.
Yeah.
Just there's no bandwagon Arkansas fans, Alabama, Tuscaloosa, as 20 years ago was not the Tuscaloosa it is now.
Yeah.
It's a completely different city. There's all kinds of, I think there's more out-of-state students now than there is in-state students.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I was one of the out-of-state guys. There may be too many now.
That's when you've been indoctrinated.
Oh, I'm here now. I told you I went back to my reunion, and my wife's like, "Hey, what's it like to be home?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm from Alabama. I'm not home." this isn't home. That's just the place I was. I've lived here longer, like way for longer than I lived there, but
Yeah.
But I just, there's just something special about Alabama to me, man. I mean, like I really believe that. Like, and I'll even throw Auburn in there, just the state itself, mostly Tuscaloosa and then LA, but the whole state, like I love it. When I cross the border, it's like the skies are bluer and the air breathes cleaner. And when
you say that about Auburn, all I can think about is the line you used last week. Hey, what's that city between Auburn and Montgomery? Oh yeah, that's right. There is not.
Yeah,
one.
There's not one. There's nothing out there. It's like you drive to Atlanta and you leave through Montgomery. You better gas it up. You better stop before the Alabama line. Gas up, guys. It's the middle.
And if there is a place to stop, you don't want to stop.
Yeah, right. I don't know. When people tell me they're going to school there, and I'm just thinking, man, it must be like some kind of program that they don't offer in Tuscaloosa.
You must be making your grandfather proud or something.
Yeah.
Really sacrificing a lot of good time somewhere else.
Man. It does pain me to give them compliments, but I do once in a while.
Oh, yeah. No, I took a visit to Auburn when I was a junior. And this is before I had any offers. But I went to the West Virginia Auburn game. I guess it was it was a rough year for Auburn, but they did beat West Virginia.
Yeah.
And that atmosphere is hard to beat.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. Now, you don't feel like there's a tradition around there like there is Alabama.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, there's a lot of excitement, but you don't feel that. That intro video with Bear Bryant narrating the video. And,
I ain't never been nothing but a win.
And Sweet Home Alabama's
playing. Oh, yeah. It's like endurance and like somebody's like stiff arm and
Oh yeah,
pride.
Cornelius Bennett just hammering that Notre Dame.
There's Derek Thomas. I got chills thinking about it right now, man.
Oh yeah.
Just like I remember when I got to Alabama, and I'm like watching the games, and I'm like, man, the ball just bounces different here.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's like
when me and Ryan were talking, and Jason Smith, we had just scored. It was like 19-6, and the wheels are starting to turn, and we're finally getting on track. And Jeremy Johnson throws the ball up, and Geno Smith just narrowly misses him. Jason, it was just a clean. He'd have killed him, but Jason tips that ball up to himself, catches it, and runs in the end zone. And I'm looking at Kenyon. We look at each other, and it's like, only in this place.
Oh, yeah. Well, like when Bo Nix beat Alabama.
It's a real thing. It's like
Auburn Jesus.
Even players play because we did. We did the same thing. Again,
Yeah.
Kenyon and I are like only in Auburn.
No, I met
crazy.
Auburn Jesus before. He walks on cow patties. I don't know. Look, they have great luck at their stadium, but so does Alabama too. Alabama's had great luck there as well. I see you need a refill.
Yeah.
You want one out of there, or you want one out of there?
I get one more out
of there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me pose a question before I fill us back up. Just got to think of what that question is. Now, when you look at this Arkansas team, KJ Jefferson is a tough, hard-nosed quarterback. I feel like Sam Pittman would be a great guy to play for. Like, I really like him. Like, he's just a likable, seems like down the football coach type of guy. Yeah. And it just seems like every time they get something going, it's like they'll have like all these guys transfer to LSU. I don't know if that's just me feeling like that, but it just seems like that. Like, it's hard to, with the transfer portal like it is now, it'd be hard to be like kind of that, just under the top notch. Like they're kind of like under.
They're treated like now they're a D1 JUCO.
Yeah, right. And it feels like that a little bit. Maybe I'm crazy, but.
Yeah, players, they go to Arkansas and they're 3 stars, 2 stars coming out. And I was a 3-star. There's a ton of great low star guys, but once they prove themselves on the Division I level, especially in the SEC, here comes Alabama, LSU. And Coach Saban said this when they decided to go through with it. He's like, this is not going to hurt me. I'm just going to lose the players that don't play.
Right.
And I'm going to pick up your best players because they're going to want to come play for Alabama or one of these top programs. So again, all it's going to do is hurt these lower schools. Now, I say that they'll get some good guys from the higher echelon schools, and they'll beat good teams every now and then. But you're not going to get consistent championship ball out of smaller schools. They're just not going to have the talent.
What's practice like for Alabama this week with the early game? And if we're concerned about looking past somebody, there's a guy over there that wears the hat. That's
practice will be restarted multiple times this week. It doesn't matter if you did everything perfect. He's sending a message this week. You better be, flawless.
Right.
And, he'll be down, just chewing people out, letting them have it, especially those young guys. And it's a true thing. There's definitely a letdown for games that don't have the hype that maybe a Tennessee has.
Yeah. Well, he worries about that, and that's what he's been the master of too, is that Alabama haven't had those look ahead losses.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for a lot of other teams. I don't know that there's been a coach that I've ever seen who is better at getting his teams ready for the small games.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I think younger teams with good leadership that don't have a lot of superstars are probably better equipped to play these games against teams that they should beat, just because everybody's still trying to prove themselves.
Right.
Everybody's on the same page. There's probably a little less selfish intent for some guys. So I think this is a very unified bunch, and that's a dangerous scenario when you got an Alabama team that maybe doesn't have all the superstars we're used to having, and they're playing together.
I think that's why I said at the beginning of the year, I don't think that this team reminds me of 2015, like a lot of the commentators have said. I just don't see that. This isn't like your year. This is different. This is an entirely different situation. You guys never looked as bad as they did at the beginning of the year. This team has come from literally the worst point that I think Nick Saban's had a team since 2007.
Yeah.
To now where you look at him and you go, man, this may be his. At the end, we got a long way to go now.
Yeah.
But this could be his best coaching job when it's all said and done. Think about this.
Here's the thing. I think he knows what he's working with, and a lot of this, we've talked about this on previous podcasts. I know that, you can't be that good to understand all the moving pieces and have what happened against South Florida happen. But man, as we move forward, it's like, shit, I feel like all this is on purpose.
Yeah, you say that.
It's hard to deny.
Yeah.
Everybody going into this year was very uncertain about this team, but we never thought what happened against South Florida would ever happen,
Yeah, be careful with that phone.
Oh, yeah.
Just a heads up there.
Come to Mick's house.
Yeah. Well, we got a little more foam than normal today. Remember the barkeep?
I thought that was pretty good relative to your previous pour.
Yeah, well, you didn't see it when it was sitting over there. I was blocking you out. But no, man, I agree with you, man. I just feel like he loves this. I think this is what, as long as the guys are buying in, and when you hear them talk and they're like, hey, he was yelling at somebody, and I was like, oh, who's that? Oh, me. That reaction, I loved it, man. I loved it.
The Terry Arnold.
I'd hire Arnold to do anything. That's the kind of guy you want to be, not just on your football team, but at your business, working with you on a project. That was awesome, man.
Oh, yeah. In the video, you see Miss Terry and him.
I loved it. Didn't you love
awesome. Miss Terry's the best.
She's like the soft side of Nick.
She's the best. She's the best.
What's your relationship with her like?
I spoke to her a lot when I was getting recruited, and then when I was at Alabama, always made a point to go see her because again, I think she has so much more to do with his success than most people realize.
Yeah.
She's just such a strong personality in a soft type of way. Like, I don't know, somebody that's very calm and collected and can make really good decisions. And he obviously trusts her a lot and trusts her opinion. And I think that goes a long way with him. And
he lights up when you bring her name up.
Oh yeah.
It's like a different dude.
Oh yeah. Did you see the interview where he was like, I started doing this when I was 40. And he was like, I was so pissed off because the media hated me and I couldn't figure it out. I just, and he said, I go and talk to Miss Terry about it. And she's like, well, yeah, maybe if you treated them with some respect and lightened up a little bit, you'd get some better reviews. And he's like, hell, I'll try that.
Shit. I see it the same way.
But it's so funny. Like the guy you see, he's shown more of that side, I guess, in the latter years.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, you see Coach Saban doing what he does on the sidelines, getting on his players and his coaches. I mean, you can't do that 100% of the time and have people really, really want to play for you. And he doesn't do that 100% of the time. I mean, he's hilarious. He's very personable. He's a great guy. So many people miss out on that aspect of his personality just because they don't get to see it.
How about the story that Ryan Anderson told us?
He's chasing him down.
He said, I feel somebody behind me.
You think that's funny? You think it's funny?
Yeah, like he was going to try to, he was just like laughing about Coach Saban. You just can't. You can't make this stuff up, man.
Yeah.
But I could see little Coach Saban, and he's intimidating, man. Like he is when I was working at Crimson Tide Sports Network, we'd run into him at the airport in Tuscaloosa, and he'd be in there. They'd be going one way, and we'd be going another, and he'd be like, "Man, there's Coach Saban right there."
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was signing autographs and doing selfies, So I worked with
the Walk of Champions. You got these 6'6", 350-pound guys, one after the other, and then you got the most intimidating guy in the whole group is about 5'8".
Right,
$140.
Yeah, and it looks like
everybody's like, "Don't mess with that guy. That's the guy you don't mess with."
He looks like he's part of Penn and Teller. Like, that was the hardest thing for me when he came to Alabama. I had seen Penn and Teller, and then I followed them. I saw them, in at one of their events a long time ago, and I'm like, God, it looks just like the guy from Penn and Teller, the smaller guy.
It was so funny. I was when Coach Saban came to Mobile to do an in-home visit with me. My mom is the type of person who will tell you whatever comes across her mind, like. If she thinks it, she's going to tell you.
Yeah, my sister's the same way.
And
doesn't mean anything by it.
Oh no,
there's not a filter.
Well, it doesn't mean anything by it unless there's something to be meant. But I'm sitting there and Coach Saban, he's just hanging out and talking, and my mom starts telling him how boring his offense was, and I had been recruited by Coach Saban coming out of high school, and my mom was like, yeah, I didn't like you very much when you were recruiting him out of high school. He's like, I didn't like your interviews. I didn't like the way you presented yourself. It's like, I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, anyway, Coach Saban's laughing and they're getting along. My mom loves Coach Saban to death now.
Yeah.
I mean, she absolutely loves him. And like the first thing he asks every time I see him, how's your mom doing? And again, it's one of those misconceptions where you don't understand the real guy until you know him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what else is that he probably appreciates that because that's how he is.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, do you feel like he's ever beating around the bush when he's going to tell you something?
No. No. And let me tell you, I was sitting there. I was sitting in that around our kitchen table, just about to crawl underneath, just waiting on him. Because I didn't really know him that well. He's recruiting me, but I was like, how is he going to react to all this? Just this barrage. But no, it
It turned
great.
out good.
Oh no!
Were you waiting on that scholarship offer to disappear? Like you get ghosted. Hey, I'll take it, guys. I'll take it. Like, no one there to hand Nick Saban the phone anymore.
Yeah. Well, once my mom got to know him, it was like, I mean, I was planning on going to Alabama no matter what, but as soon as my mom got to know him and understand him, it was like, I mean, you're going to Alabama. You're not taking any visits. You're going to Alabama, right? And that was my plan all along. But I was like, yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, right.
She was like, all right, that's the right decision.
Yeah, I remember being on the, doing the same thing I'm doing now, and hearing your name come up and being excited about it. Like, man, this would be great if this guy comes to school at Alabama. And, I thought I was telling my wife this today. I remember when you like got the job and being like, man, I'm really excited about this. Like being fired up. I mean, I've been covering this team for a long time, like it's how it is. I mean, like now, like it's like somebody comes in, it's going to help you win a championship. Yeah. We know all the stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like I'll try to explain to people outside of our like football circle. Like if so they're in Chicago, they're like a Cubs person. Hey, we got this guy coming in, it's gonna make it. And then you realize like halfway through, like they could give two shits about what's going on. But in our world, it's such a big deal. You know what I mean by that? Like,
oh yeah, and people don't realize, especially. I mean, it now because you've been involved so long.
Yeah.
But being from this state,
when
I was young, all I cared about was, it was Alabama football. I mean, I like to hunt and fish, and I love that too. But I mean, we were watching the Alabama football game.
We all do.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
look.
most of my family, like all my cousins and my older brother, my dad was an Alabama fan, or is an Alabama fan, and me and him were the only ones aligned with Alabama. The rest was Auburn for the most part.
Whoa.
And so, I mean, people don't understand the.
Oh, it could have been a bad combo right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You've been part of that real small crew.
Well, it was a bad combo because I was the youngest cousin. And when Alabama finally won that game and we won 31-7.
Yeah. I told you I missed the party coming back from Bahamas.
Yeah. I was the youngest cousin and all my celebrations got my ass whipped.
Hopefully you talked a lot of shit. Hopefully you did. Like, I don't have the Daniel Moore of that one. I've told this story. I think I've even told it on this podcast, but I'll tell it again. I was working for Crimson Tide Sports Network, and the LSU game became the game that the big game I went to because I was doing women's basketball play-by-play. Yeah, I know none of you guys heard me on there, but I did it, right? And so we would have to go over, somewhere else, right? So when I was there, I worked with one of the best people I've ever met in my life, Wendell Hudson.
Yeah.
Played basketball at Alabama.
I played golf with Wendell.
It's the best.
About 6 months ago.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
He is the coolest dude.
So nice.
Oh, genuinely a great guy. Like, and there comes that point where you're like, man, in this business, you kind of want people to watch the shit you're doing, but they're not watching the women's team, and he had a really tough job because the program was in such disarray when he took over and just all the things that he went through. And I was just kind of there. Like we'd take walks and he'd talk to me about all the stuff that he did and a lot of great stories. And so,
yeah, he played at a different time.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's got his own, he's been through a lot.
Oh yeah.
I think he was
be such a good guy,
great guy.
I mean,
I love him. Yeah. I mean, I say that genuinely, like love the guy. First Black scholarship athlete, I think at Alabama.
Yeah.
But you go through all of that stuff and he came from Birmingham and he's the best dude and cares about everybody, goes out of his way for everybody. Just slide up next to him on the plane and talk to him about, I don't know, like what it was like in the NBA and, just who he hung out with. And just that's a whole podcast that he probably needs to come on and tell. He's got great stories. He's best friends with Mal. And I just remember like kind of being at that point where I was like, man, I'm kind of done with this, but I'm having so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Which is what's something that I put on the top of everything I do. Like if it's not fun, then I don't want to do it, Yeah. But when he was there, it was so much fun. And and us coming back on that trip and me like being like, well, I guess we're going to the Bahamas, which is great, but we're going to whoop Auburn finally. And that was the worst streak. And then we got back in the middle of the night or maybe like really early in the morning, and Tuscaloosa was just, burnt to the ground. There was the biggest party of all time. We shut out Auburn. We got Tommy fired, and now he's a senator, right? Ran over him. I could still see Coffee scoring touchdowns. And, John Parker and those guys. That was
just like finally,
man.
Finally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we were really. I was. Geez, what was that? Like 2008. 2008
when we finally won.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Started because it was like 6 long years.
Yeah.
And if they wouldn't have taunted Mal, I've told you guys this. If Wendell said that Mal got heckled so bad at Auburn by the Auburn fans that he wasn't leaving Nick Saban's house.
Yeah. I heard he literally stayed in Miami for weeks.
But I think it started when he was trying to get out of Wendell said it was when he was trying to get out of the press box at Auburn. And you have to go out where the people are. And they were just, they were acting like Tennessee acted last year when we lost to them.
Oh God.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Again, you thought all the fans were going to get Super Bowl rings for that, for that win.
Right. They got Christmas ornaments. Pieces of the goalposts.
Yeah.
Now, I love that though too. That's what makes being at Alabama special, is that everybody's trying to take a shot at you,
Oh yeah. Well, that's what makes college football special.
Yeah.
That kind of emotion tied to a team, it's different than any other sport and or league out there.
Yeah. So if Malachi Moore doesn't play, you see kind of the movement in the different packages and stuff with different guys. But I think I just feel like this week you can get by without Malachi. I don't know that we're going to be in dime a whole lot, right? Would you think that? Wouldn't it be more nickel? But I don't know. You know more of this than me.
But here's the deal. Again, I've watched Arkansas here and there this year. I saw the first half of the Ole Miss game. It's not like they've got a bunch of game breakers, a bunch of explosive guys. If they break off some big plays on us, it's going to be because KJ Jefferson extended the play.
Right.
Somebody breaks free or they have a double move that, we bite on and
right.
They hit a big play. I just don't see them, I don't think they're going to have a bunch of yards after catch. I don't think they have. Our athletes are, in my opinion, a lot better than theirs. It's going to take us really struggling on offense and them hitting 3 to 4 big plays that either go for a touchdown or get them inside the 10. They got to keep us from making big plays, big touchdown scores, because, once they get in the red zone on defense, I think they're really aggressive, and I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Jalen. And so I'm a little nervous about when we get down in that area. But if we can make big plays like we have all year, and Jalen can get the ball out in those red zone areas, we'll be okay. And it seems like what I've seen, a lot of these defenses have, they've done a lot of different things in the red zone, but when they bring cover zero, you got to know where to go with the ball, right. Get it out, understand where your guys are going to be, because you're not going to have time. We can't block that many guys when
right.
that happens. And so he's got to have a really good understanding of identifying what he's seeing and getting it out quick.
Mm-hmm. Or just throw it into the stands and move on to the next play.
That's right.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with Terrion Arnold moving into the star spot. You know, I honestly, in a way, not that I don't want Malachi Moore back, because I think he's the best player on the defense, on a really good defense. And that's saying there's a lot of good players, but he's the best. Yeah. I just like the fact that he'll crash a run, and then he can also go back in the secondary. He's going to intercept passes. The way that he destroyed Ole Miss was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But with that said, Terrion Arnold sliding up into that star spot, you get that experience there. You don't know what's going to happen between now and the end of the year. Injuries are part of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw when Deontay Lawson went down. Campbell came in and was great. And then we saw Marshall come in, and he played good football too. You know, we didn't really lose a whole lot. So I like the idea of getting guys experience
where they're supposed to be.
Yes, right. Right. And when you're playing with a team like this, it just feels like they pick each other up. And I don't like, I would have looked at last year's defense and thought that last year's defense would have been better than this year's defense, just because you had Will Anderson Jr. and, you know, you had him and Dallas Turner on the line and, you know, just all of that. But these guys with Kool-Aid in the secondary and Arnold and Malachi Moore and then Dallas Turner. And I mean, the way that when they get pressure on the quarterback, they're the best defense in football.
Hey, man, it's a weird thing. I mean, mindset, it's kind of crazy how much of a role that plays and how well you execute. I mean, you know, when you realize that you're an essential part of that defense or essential part of whatever you're doing, and without your best effort, y'all aren't going to be successful. I mean, I think these guys kind of take that to heart and really put a lot of pride in, all right, I got to do my job 100% every time. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, and I finally feel like we're doing that. I mean, you know, Will Anderson last year carried a lot of the load, and you didn't hear much about many other guys for the most part. But this year, it just seems like everybody's kind of, all right, well, man, I thought this guy was the best. Look at this guy. He's coming on pretty strong.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean,
yeah, Smith, Otis. I mean, like you turn around and you're like,
there's a lot of
Braswell.
Plays.
Yeah, Braswell.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes a great defense. Like the defense you played with, like there were so many dudes that just did stuff.
Oh, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, Jonathan Allen, Ashawn Robinson, Ryan Anderson's over here, Tim Williams. I mean, Reggie Ragland, Reuben Foster, it just everybody
everywhere you look
nonstop.
Yeah.
But it was all you had a bunch of superstars on that defense, but it seemed like all of them were competing to make the play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like I got to make this play. I got to make this play. Do my job, but if I can go up over and beyond to make that play, I'm going to do it just so I can talk shit to my teammates.
Yeah, right.
We're up 40 points.
Yeah. I love Jonathan Allen. Probably should go ahead and say that now. They used to make fun of me because I thought Jonathan Allen he's one of my top 5 guys, man. Like of the players that I've covered every day. I mean, like he was just a disruptive force. I mean, you played with him. I just watched, but I mean, this just, you know, like you could not block the guy.
Oh yeah. Well, there's something to be said about a guy who instills culture in a team from an individual. I mean, just from one individual, and he's one of those guys that does it. Expects that from his teammates. And
really,
everybody fears not playing, you know, hard because they've got to answer to Jonathan. And the same way with, you know, again, that 2015 had a lot of leadership on that defensive side. So, you know, if you didn't play hard, you were answering to a lot of guys. I mean, I wouldn't say he was at the top of the hierarchy on that team, but he was on that echelon, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of guys that just expected the best from their teammates. And when you got that, you don't need Coach Saban, you know, chewing you out.
That's when you have a great team.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was like, I don't know, like last year, Aaron Suttles, our buddy Aaron Suttles was like, hey, you know, if they were ever going to retire a number, you know, Will Anderson Jr. And I'm like, man, are you crazy? What about Jonathan Allen? What about Biscuit? You know, what about DT? Like you can't retire. We wouldn't have any numbers left.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, there's been a standard set by so many guys. It's like,
what do you start?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like rushing the field. I mean, rush the field for every game, retire every number.
No.
I mean, there's only so many numbers out there.
No, leave that to the Yankees. Let them retire all the numbers. I think that's that. He was the first guy I thought of though, because I thought, man, this guy, like, when he was on the team, he was just a disruptive force. He was like a Category 5 hurricane every game coming in.
Oh yeah,
so
I mean,
tell him I said that. I love that guy.
Opposing quarterbacks and coaches were like, all right,
how do you stop this guy?
Yeah, I mean, outside of just throw it quick or run away from him. You know,
where's he at now? Is he still with the Washington team? Wasn't he with the Commanders or something?
Yeah, I think he's still with the Commanders now.
Okay.
I saw him in Tuscaloosa a few years ago, but I hadn't seen him in a while. But he's one of those guys that's going to do well, with football, without football. He's one of those guys you never worry about.
Yeah.
He's just so solid.
That's awesome. Well, I loved watching him play, and I know he was on that team with you guys. All right, well, we got to kind of start to head towards the finish line here. Not quite, but start to head that direction. What did you think of the 11 o'clock games? Was it harder for you to get into your routine when you had to play at 11 a.m. or just another game? And I know you didn't do that a whole lot. I mean, you didn't go to Auburn, but, but you do have to, once in a while it falls like this.
11 o'clock games, they suck. Yeah, they suck. I mean, the whole schedule changes. You're doing everything earlier. And obviously when you're playing 11 o'clock game, you're playing somebody you should beat. And, I mean, again, I always felt like we practiced the same, played really hard, but there's a different atmosphere around those games that don't matter as much. And it's not quite the same as coming out of the tunnel when you're playing Auburn or Georgia or, so the sense of focus is not like it should be. I feel like a lot of the times, but no, I did not enjoy those 11 o'clock games nearly as much. I mean, you feel like you're getting up and practicing in the morning.
Yeah, right. So I got to tell you, like I'm going to give you my best 11 o'clock a.m. story. There was a time when we lived in Tuscaloosa, and I didn't want to buy season tickets. And the reason isn't I didn't have the money to pay you got to pay the donation to get the tickets, and then you pay the tickets, Well, I mean, I wasn't making any money. So I had to learn how to scalp. And so I would scalp tickets, and it was fun. Like, get them and sell them and, work the angle, man. This is before I was really into this like I am now. Right. And the statute of limitations up, so nobody can get me in trouble for this. So Saban's first year, 2007, and we're playing Tennessee. It's 11 a.m. game on Jefferson Pilot. And I got some tickets in the upper deck, but I don't want to sit in the upper deck. I want to sit lower level. And I knew that 11 a.m., like, I don't have to go on eBay and bid on some tickets. Some people were too tired to get up and be there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So I get there, and it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes before the game, and people are just like, hey, do you want tickets? Here you go. Your hands up. So I got all these tickets. So I got pretty decent seats. And then some dude comes by and he's like, hey, man, you need tickets? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, here's 2 on the 50. I'm like, I'll take that. The best seats I've ever had at a game at Bryant-Denny. I got 2 tickets.
Who were they playing?
Tennessee. I got 2 tickets.
When was this?
2007. I got 2 tickets. And I'm going to tell you about the game because it was amazing. Okay. I got 2 tickets on it was really like the 45, but I was like where I could just run down, and I don't know how, but I had some bourbon minis with me. Okay. So I had to get in the tunnel and get a drink.
Everybody does.
Okay. I don't know where they came from. They were there. And then I just would go get a Diet Coke, and then I would come back out, and there was a bathroom there too. It was amazing. It was like the best experience. Like, we got a timeout, and I'm like, boom, 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 back out, Yeah. So it was the game where Tennessee was favored. Philip Fulmer, who I like Phil. I know Phil. I like him. I know a lot of Alabama fans aren't going to say that, but he did yell at me when I was on college radio, and we just found the interview where I was on college radio, and he did my show at Alabama and yelled at me. And I told him about that a couple years ago because I kept him too long. And I asked him if Alabama and Tennessee was still a rivalry because we were getting our ass kicked by him every year, when I was in school. Just crazy. That shows you how old I am. I don't look it. But so anyway, we onside kicked to start the game. And it was right after we had this book scandal. Like when Saban took over, there was a lot of stuff going on.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and it was like just this shit that you don't try.
Yeah.
With Saban there, you're not trying the book thing.
Yeah.
Maybe before, be like, hey, we're going to, get these free books and sell them and make some money. Yeah, that didn't fly with the ball coach, right? So guys were suspended right before the game, and we ended up losing to Louisiana Monroe the next week because of that, because we were shorthanded or whatever, but not against Tennessee. Onside kick, and then proceeded to beat their ass the whole game. Like, it was unbelievable. So I'm sitting on the 45, and I couldn't. It was an 11 o'clock game, and I still to this day. It's not the best game I ever had, but it's the best seats I ever had at Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, that last year was Coach Saban's first loss to Tennessee, wasn't it?
Yes. They rubbed it in, too.
It's hard to kind of rub in. It's hard to rub
15
in
years
when you've only won one time in 16
They
years.
made up for it. That's why you can't look ahead. That's why this game's so important, because you can't look ahead going into this matchup. The next week's game, it's honestly my favorite game of the year. I love it. I love General Neyland. I've spent so much of my life in Tennessee. I get them. I honestly, like, when Alabama's not playing, I got to watch the Tennessee game every week. My heart's always going to be at Alabama. It's where I went to school. It's what I cover. But when those two uniforms get on the same field, man, there's nothing better than seeing that crimson and that orange. And when Forrest Gump took it to the house on them in the movie, it was great. You remember that? It's just a great. It's what college football is all about, man. Third Saturday.
I tell you, I used to. So when we played them in 2015, it was a close game. Told that story about Gary Danielson and all that. But when you're in that moment, really you don't realize how awesome that is, and something you dreamed of your whole life. And I remember my in-laws, my wife's family, they have a hunting camp, like, it's south of Tuscaloosa, about a little over an hour. And
where at?
Just
What's
around
the
the Selma area.
Oh, Selma, okay.
And so I'd ride down there on Saturday nights after games just to get away.
Yeah.
And me and my wife she was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, we'd ride together, and that'd be kind of our decompression time, and we'd hang out and get up and fish or hunt the next morning. I remember it was third weekend in October, and it was deer season. I remember I just went to go just to sit in the woods for a little bit and calm down. And I just remember thinking, Tennessee wasn't that great that year, but it was a tough game.
They had Dobbs at quarterback.
Yeah.
And he was good.
But I was just like, man, how freaking, I'm sitting in the middle of these woods. I was just like, how awesome is that?
Yeah.
I can't believe how awesome, you dream of that moment your whole life. I was like, we got to beat Tennessee in a 2-minute situation. Should have beat them worse.
Who cares? It was a great game.
But it was like, man, that's a once in a lifetime moment for, this whole state. I could not, to be able to have the privilege to play quarterback at Alabama and be able to do that. It was just like, man, that was one of the best mornings ever, just sitting there thinking about it. And I'll never forget it. It was great.
My cigar tasted awesome that time.
I still got the cigar box from that game. Yeah.
Did you?
I picked him up with Parker Barano the Thursday before that game.
Where'd you get him at?
Oh gosh, I wish you hadn't asked me that. It's on the west side of Tuscaloosa.
R&R Cigar?
It's on the west side of Tuscaloosa in like a house.
Yes, R&R.
Okay, yeah, R&R Cigar.
Yeah. Reagan will be happy you said that. Yeah, that's cool. They did like
those guys
cigars.
are great, man. They gave us the box, and I still got. My dad actually has the box. I gave it to him.
Did you? That's cool.
It was. I mean, it's so cool.
A cigar game. It was weird seeing Tennessee smoke cigars last year. But see, this is rat poison, because we got to be focused on Arkansas.
Yeah.
See,
you're guilty of it.
I know.
You're already looking past them.
No, I'm not. I've got to turn this conversation back to Saturday at 11. I just told you those 11 a.m. games. If you don't have tickets, get out there early. Is all I'm saying.
I'm about to cuss you out and make us restart the podcast.
Start it over again. The beer's warm, and then you get. Like, why is all this foam in here? Oh, the door was left open. Who did that? I'd love to blame somebody. I think that that this game Saturday is, like I said, if you don't have tickets, get out there early and just be outside waiting. Somebody will hand them to you. I promise you. Like they like that's the trick of these 11 a.m. games, but they're important.
Plus, this isn't the Alabama of 2007 either. I mean, we're spoiled and think we're going to walk through this game when
we're not, man. They gave us the trouble last year.
Oh yeah,
but this was the one game that Milroe did start, and he played well, and then he started turning the ball over. I think he's a much more experienced guy now. We're going to be able to run the ball on them. They don't have the defensive line that we saw against Texas A&M, but at the same time, they've got a week now to look at the defense without Malachi Moore and say, hey, how can we take advantage of it? We Nick Saban said that it depends on Burnup's progress, whether he's going to punt or not, but I don't know how he's going to punt, effectively if he's got like a lower body injury, which is really a muscle pull. It was great, right?
Last week. I mean, you got somebody to fall back on. Yeah. And if we're inside the 30 and he kicks it through the end zone, who cares? It is what it is.
I just don't want him to get hurt, though.
No, I agree.
I think I honestly, I think he's
one
really,
of those key parts of our team.
Right.
I mean, to have a guy that you just send out there and you got 3 points, that is huge.
What you need over there? That you want another one of those, or
go with light stuff?
Go the light
stuff.
Okay, well, you keep talking. Probably not a bad move.
No, that's right. No, but look, I mean, again, when you have a kicker, and look, we've learned this before. Missed field goals can kill you. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, and look, I respect kickers as much or more than anybody around football because
there's a difference.
The amount of pressure on a kicker. I mean, again, the only worst job in the world is a holder.
Okay.
I mean, you literally can't do anything. You got to be good at your job, and if you do wrong one time, man, you're
in big trouble.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you.
It's fun. When I was my senior year, when I was there, the kicker position at Alabama was it kind of had the same narrative that the quarterback position did as well.
Who was your kicker?
So Adam Griffiths was our kicker.
Oh, that's right. I remember him. Yeah.
And, it's not like Adam and I were best friends, but there was a mutual respect and appreciation for each other. And I love Adam.
Yeah.
I love him to death.
What's he doing now?
I'm not sure what he's doing now. I hadn't talked to Adam in a while, but, it was kind of that same, we had that same feeling for each other. It was like, we're both fighting this battle of the narrative and everything else. And man, he had a hell of a year, and he doesn't get enough respect for the year that he had because he won games for us, a lot of games for us, and the national championship. I mean, he kicked an onside kick better than I could have thrown a fade.
Oh my gosh, man. You know what? It's worth bringing that up. That was incredible, man. I told you this is the picture of you guys was right there.
Right here.
And I mean, I think that may be the greatest Alabama game I've ever been to. You have the Daniel Moore pictures there, and then I've got Kenyon Drake in a trophy, or not a trophy, but a statue that's above your head right there.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if anyone can see that, but that was something that they did at New Life Art. But I had to have it because
you were sitting right there.
I was sitting there, and I mean, like I was sitting with Mike Johnson and Baron Huber, and every time we scored, they got really physical and happy. I'm not a big guy. Like I was just getting smacked. And the other guy that was sitting with us is an LSU guy, but he's really cool. And he's really not a big guy. Like, so I don't know what his body felt like, but that was a back and forth battle right there.
Oh yeah.
It really was one of the great games Alabama's ever played. Because they were so good.
It was one of those games, every team we played, and even when we lost to Ole Miss, you felt like if we had another quarter, that team they were kind of dying off where we were finally hitting our stride. But Clemson was the only team we ever played that there was never even a hint of quit in them.
No, they played tough.
Like, oh yeah, it was. You knew it was. You were in a battle for the long haul.
Yeah,
and funny. Did I tell you that story about when I threw it to Ardarius in this game.
You said you got knocked down, and you're like, it was all what you were listening for, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. This story. Everybody, when I tell it, the people that have heard it love hearing it. But so there's a third down and about 14, and we had a double move, and I knew before the play, before I even snapped the ball, where I was going. We had too high. I was going to the boundary to Artie Stewart, but I see them bringing pressure, and I'm like, oh shit, I might have to get this ball out quick because we got the guys to block them, but it's always tougher to pick them up, and I got to make sure I get this ball out. And before I snap it, I don't know, I guess just from memory, I knew that all the Clemson fans were over here on the right side of the field, and all the Alabama fans were over here. And so I see this blitz coming. I'm like, oh shit, and I snap the ball, and I'm supposed to take 3 steps. I take 5. And I see Ben Boulware coming. And I'm like, oh man. And so right before he gets there, I just throw it up. And he hits me, and I go down, and my face is in the dirt. And all I can think about is I'm laying on the ground, and it feels like it takes forever. And the whole time I'm just like, God, the last time you did this shit, we lost to Ole Miss. As I'm laying there, I'm like, please, God, let the Alabama side go crazy. Please, God, let the Alabama side go crazy. And again, it feels like it's 15 minutes. And as I'm sitting there, all of a sudden, the Alabama side goes crazy. I was like, oh, thank God.
No, man.
I mean, because it was either catastrophe or a first down.
Yeah. You got me. Like, if we go to the national championship, we got to go. I think we got to go. Where is it?
We'll make that happen.
Let's do
wherever it is.
Let's do it.
Do a podcast from
wherever. Let's do it, man. I'm just like reliving the whole experience. This one right here this is like elephant in the room overtime. I'm going to tell you this story. Yeah. This is my experience from there. And Baron Huber, don't get mad at me.
Do you remember that play that I was?
Yes, I remember the whole game. Like I remember it's like one of the best experiences. So I was working at the radio station in Tuscaloosa at the time, doing the pre and post game for Alabama football, and I guess it was I don't remember if it's so hard to remember who was on there with me because Baron was on with me. Who's awesome. If you met him, I mean, he's a fun dude. You met him at the Floribama, so you saw him in his native environment.
Saw him in his prime.
Right. Yeah, you saw him when he's kind of, and then Mike.
You can say the same thing about me.
Can, yeah. I think I honestly think he asked me if I knew you because he was living down there at the time.
Yeah.
And you were on our show one time.
Yeah.
Like before we'd start doing this. And I remember
the brewery in Atlanta.
Yeah. And I remember like you came on and you kicked ass, but I mean, I didn't know you, but I was like, man, I like this guy. Obviously here's a lot better than that brewery, but if we went back to that brewery now, we could do a hell of a show, right?
Well, they're only selling Sweetwater there. Yeah. They didn't have Sunland.
They didn't have Sunland. So, and I'll tell the guy from Sunland, like, we love your beer. So we get, the game, you guys win the game, and we're doing the post-game show from the Irish bar in that, like, perimeter around the football stadium in Arizona, right? And we're all staying at our buddy Colin's house, who I'll see it in his free on Friday when I'm there doing my show. He's like, he's big buddies with Tripp, and he's a great dude. And I'd forgotten all about this. I stayed at his house. I don't know if they had the camper there or they just brought it for the game, but we all stayed in a camper. So it was Andrew Bone, the recruiting guy, my boy, Mike Johnson, and Baron Huber, and we all stayed in there. And I mean, it's a small camper. We're all but we all have our own beds, and it got gassy in there. That's the one thing. Bone reminded me of this the other day, which I totally forgot, because I don't know how I forgot this.
Yeah, but Mike's a big guy. There's
some big dudes.
Those linemen are brutal.
Yeah, there's some definitely, you don't
want a room with an offensive lineman.
No, I think we left the the camper door open or whatever. But the thing that I remember, honestly, I don't know. But what I will tell you is that Barron was going to come on and do the post game show with me, and he got so drunk at the football game he passed out on the show. Please don't get mad at me, Barron, for telling that story. So I think Colin got on or Bone got on or something.
Hey, Barron,
he's
we had fun at the Florida. He didn't get to that point, but when you win a national championship, and you're having a good time with your boys, and
man, think about that. I don't even know how. Between me getting so drunk at the Floribama that I had to take me off the air or that. But the thing about media now is I say, keep them on now. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's the fun
I think
stuff.
a lot of people enjoy seeing just a transparent you.
Right.
Which, we'll get there.
Maybe we'll be there. I'll say this too. And I know Barron won't care. He would throw these parties they had a house in Tuscaloosa, and I think I've told you off the air. I don't know if I've said it on here, but they had a fireball fountain, and and Big Kev's dad would show up, his mom, his sister, everybody was always invited. And for years, you just go over there, and it didn't matter what was going on, but it was that same era, right? The Cubs won the World Series in 2016. They're Cubs fans. I hang out with them there, watch Alabama football, hang out, the parties. It was amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, the best thing about college, especially, you have get-togethers. Nobody's got any money.
Yeah.
It's just you're hanging out. You just want to have a good time with your buddies, and everybody's invited, and you have fun, and it's the best brotherhood ever, just because you get so close, you have so much in common.
Yeah.
It's just hard to beat that camaraderie you build and that type of atmosphere. And again, when you're playing in Alabama or at Florida State, you don't have much time to let loose and have a good time.
Yeah, right.
So, when you do, you
make
the most of it.
Yeah, but that's what it felt like too. These guys had, played in college, and they'd missed a lot of the fun stuff that we did. I was at Alabama, and
you get you get
a lot of fun.
You get a 6-hour window each week. That's after a game, or during the summertime you're working out nonstop.
Yeah.
Monday you got workouts, so you got Saturday to have fun with your buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And when you got 6 hours a week to have a good time, you have a good time. You're a dumbass 20-year-old.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my college experiences, we never got in trouble. We just,
we
had fun.
Yeah, because you guys you really had to hold that high standard,
Yeah, that's right.
And those guys, the thing that I always got, the 2009 team is so special to me because I went through all of the losing. I went from, the this and losing to LSU every year, and the high expectations and covering teams that might have won some of the DeBose teams and Franchione and, Shula. And it was Saban gets there and these guys buying in, these guys being we're doing what this guy tells us to do. Saban didn't come in and kick a bunch of guys off the football team. Like you saw with Dion, I love Dion. I found a picture the other day. I got a Deion Sanders Cowboys jersey. It is, right. Yeah. But do you think if Nick Saban took over now? I still don't think if he was in his prime and he took over, I don't see him being the guy that comes in and just cleans house. I see him being the guy that goes and looks and sees who's ready to buy into what he's selling. Well, and these guys bought in and they started this.
Well, and I'll say this too. I've never seen, it's kind of crazy. When I was at Florida State, if you were a walk-on at Florida State, and there were a lot of great walk-ons there,
right.
and some of those guys did earn scholarships. One of my best friends at Florida State earned a scholarship, Keith Weeks. But at Alabama, it's kind of crazy the different. He will look at, if you're on the team, you're getting an honest look at whether you can play or not, and so he's going to give everybody an honest look. If you can play, he's going to play.
He doesn't care about that.
No, that's right. I mean,
that's what the best do.
Yeah, it's why. I mean, I don't think I've seen a coach give that true a fair shake to no matter who it is on his football team like Coach Saban does.
Yeah, I love him, man. I think it's
just old school.
It's just,
and it still works.
But that's how it should be. You know, like forget about all the other stuff. Who's going to come out here and get us to the finish line?
Yeah, I mean, I think if he recruited a 5-star guy and there was a walk-on better than him, he's playing.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so as we wrap things up, let's talk about Alabama and Arkansas. What's going to happen on Saturday? 19-point spread, too.
Oof.
It's a lot of points.
Well, I didn't know that was the spread, but now that you say that, I feel like Alabama's going to cover. I don't know, man. Where do you think the public's going to be on that? I mean, again, you say a lot of points. I think everybody's going to be like, oh, Arkansas is going to cover.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, look, I got to be honest. I bet against Alabama every week on my show because we're winning, and I lose every week, and I don't want to mess it up. Even though last week when I got to the last segment, I'm like, here's why we're going to win. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? But I'm not – I'll take the L.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll probably take the 19 and Bama will win by like 35. I don't know. But that's a lot of points.
Probably taking Alabama this weekend then. Now, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be on Alabama. That changes my opinion. I mean, I would have said Alabama by 14.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been pretty comfortable with that, 10-14. But just because I think this is going to be a slow game.
Yeah.
I think Arkansas is going to hold on to the ball as long as they possibly can. They're going to have to nickel and dime the ball down the field. 11 o'clock kickoff. Wouldn't be surprised if we start off a little slow. I mean, again, to me, there's no fear of an upset. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I mean, I think we win by 14 points.
Okay.
But again, now that you say 19, it makes me think Alabama's going to win by 28.
Yeah, me too. Like if I was like really putting my money on this, like hey, here, you know, I would probably take Alabama and give the 19.
Okay, so we're going to lose this game now that you took Alabama
maybe,
this week.
but here's my thought process. I know I haven't had a good run lately, but if this team's going to do what this team needs to do to get to where they want to get to, these are the kind of games you got to just go in and put your foot on their throat and step. I mean, you got to just run over these guys. They're good. You know, they're physical. They got a good coach. They got a good quarterback. But Alabama they were 9 penalties and one stupid, you know, on a kickoff on a field goal block return away from blowing out Texas A&M. You can see it coming. So these are the games at home.
The perfect game. There's nobody in the country that can beat us.
That's what I'm saying. I think that it's coming.
Perfect game versus perfect game. I mean, we beat Texas again by 17 points. Right. I think
they looked human last week.
Yeah. I mean, there's nobody in the country that I look at and I'm like, ooh, man. I mean, Georgia. That's the only competition I see in the country, but.
We're playing against ourselves. We're playing against learning how to and I said this on one of my other shows. I say that without. I mean, if we were a true scenario where we're playing Georgia and it's Coach Saban's got Coach Steele have a couple weeks to get ready for that game. I mean, I think we beat Georgia, but it's going to be a dogfight. Right. But what I'm saying is that if I'm them, we're working on the silent snap count every week now. You're going to know how you're going to be snapping the ball silently.
I can't stand that clap. The clap cadence drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I brought this up to you before.
Go ahead.
But it is crazy to me. Again, you can go on 2 on the foot and see what the defense is doing. I don't understand. There's so many people clapping. There's so much noise going on. I mean, I can clap 10 times and maybe 5 of them come out perfect, and a center can hear them in A&M Stadium. I mean, I remember me and Ryan Kelly joke about this all the time.
I loved Ryan Kelly.
Ryan's one of my best friends.
Great Bama player right there.
But Lane was always obsessed with us doing the clap.
Yeah.
And Ryan hated it. I hated it because it's hard to get on the same page and everybody make, oh man, is that a clap or is that not a clap?
Right. What am I doing?
It's a lot easier just to look back there. I lift my leg and he snaps it. And Lane would be like, we'd go out there for a series. And of course, this was after I was given some leeway and I was a starter, so we could actually do this. But Lane would be like, all right, we're going on the clap this series. All right, let's do this. And then we'd be like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, yeah, we'll do it. And we'd get on the field and be like, all right, we're going on the foot, right? Yep.
What are they doing?
And Lane's probably like, he's probably cussing us on the headset. Yeah. We're just like, whatever.
Let's get him in here.
Oh man, that'd be a podcast.
We'd make some money on that. What if we held his feet to the fire? Hey, congratulations to him though. Like, what a bounce back. Yeah, good bounce back for him.
No, yeah. I hope Lane's doing well. I know he's had a long journey, and I think he's finally found his home, and I think he's doing pretty well. So excited for him.
All right, so you're taking Arkansas, and you're giving up the 19. I'm going to take Alabama, and I'm feeling good about that.
So hang on, you're taking Alabama?
Yeah, I'm taking Alabama.
Oh, no, hang on.
All right, guys, that does it for the podcast.
All right, if there's one pick I'm leaving you with, Notre Dame. That's my pick. That's my pick.
You got Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Gonna go in there, Sam Hartman. I love Sam Hartman.
I do too.
Look, I'm jealous of a good mustache. He doesn't have a good mustache, but the fact that he's got a mediocre mustache and he rocks it like that, hat off to him. I love that.
You and Sam Hartman both like getting kicked in the nuts.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Any final thoughts?
Excited. I don't know. Excited to see this game this weekend. I hope we win. Hope we cover. And I'm going to be that guy. I can't wait till that Tennessee game next weekend.
Oh, I know. Let's just get through this.
Yeah.
And then Monday is going to be on.
I hope Tennessee. Look,
go Vols.
Yeah.
Go Vols. I hope they spread them out and they throw the ball.
I hope we're beating Tennessee so bad next weekend that we don't have enough fans in the stadium to rush the field.
I'm going. I'm going to get my cigars ready. I'm going to the game. Like, people, just be ready. You're going too? You thinking about it?
I think I'm going to try to make that one. If there's any game I want to make this year, it's that one.
Yeah,
mainly because of last year.
Yeah,
and
I like them. Like, look, it's the.
I don't.
I do, but you want to beat those teams.
Oh yeah.
They're not Auburn to me. I guess it's just a different field for me. But I want to beat them every year.
Yeah. Yeah. Auburn, I went to school with too many Auburn fans in high school. So yeah, there's a different level of hatred there for Auburn's program. But I don't know. Tennessee, I love seeing that
I see that sparkle in your eye
viral
right
YouTube, that viral YouTube video of the throw up orange.
Yeah.
The guy.
The guy that's going to be like, I hate that orange. You can't even wear that orange.
They nasty. They nasty.
Oh man! All right. Well, look, this was great. Do it again next week. We'll be back together on Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it, see what happens.
And we'll get our Tennessee plans together on
Let's
Thursday.
All right, roll tide, everybody.
Anybody watching, you'll have to come see us.
Yeah. Innisfree on Friday is going to be packed.
All right, well, I'm going to have to make that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get there first. Guys, thanks for being part of our podcast here. Elephant in the Room. We both have had a blast hanging out with the Disrupt the Media guys. Obviously LT and Ryan and Jim for making this happen. And comment. We want to hear what you guys think. What shows do you like? What don't you like? What do you want us to talk about? What don't you want us to talk about?
I'd like
we care
to hear
about all that.
Specific questions, maybe some stories you want to hear about or whatever. I mean, that's heck, get to whatever y'all want to hear.
Yeah, he's right. Like your input is part of what we're doing. So like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and be part of the channel. All the great content coming on. Remember, we're brought to you by MyBookie. Use the code next round and at mybookie.ag and see if go with Jake's picks. I mean, they're a lot better than mine right now, apparently.
Not saying much.
Nah, it's not saying much. But look, also Lance's lock. He's on fire right now. I saw where he just nailed like a 3 for 3 yesterday, like step back jumper.
Yeah. Give everybody one of these.
Yeah, he did. He's a great handicapper, and you guys know that as well. So when you're you're putting your money down and you need a little bit of help doing that, check out Lance. You won't have to Venmo your bookie, right? He'll be Venmoing you. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I'm Mick Gillispie. That's Jake Coker, and Roll Tide.